All right, everyone. Good morning. This is the morning briefing from the Celtic Way. We've reached match day, guys. Celtic versus Slovan Bratislava tonight. So we're going to be building ahead to the big game over the next, I don't know, half an hour, 35 minutes, possibly even 40 minutes, guys, depending on how much we've got to say. Uh, yeah, it's arrived. It's a big night, and I think we're all really excited about the game. Is that the first point we should probably make? And I guess you're all feeling like that as well in the comments, Tony.
It speaks for itself, doesn't it? How massive is this?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just huge for Celtic, and that snippet and nugget of gold information from Kevin yesterday. Celtic have never won their opening game in the Champions League.
yeah,
Group phase, now
yeah,
league phase. Let's go and do it. Just grab that, grasp the nettle on that and go and do that and just set ourselves up. I mean, how good will you feel tonight if Celtic have registered the first 3 points in the Champions League? That's what it's about. And we were speaking off air before we came on, and I said to you, love the domestic dominance, but we just crave success at this platform, don't we? At this
yeah.
elite club level of football, we all crave it, and that's the box that remains unticked for Brendan Rodgers, and it's the box that's remained unticked for many Celtic teams for a long time, for too long.
Mm.
And I want that box to start being ticked as of from tonight. Just get ourselves off to a flyer. Any kind of win will do. Performance would be great, but just win this football match.
Yeah, I agree totally in terms of the domestic stuff is your bread and butter, and you never take success for granted. The team have to work incredibly hard every year to win trophies because it's not easy, and even in a league like Scotland, it's not easy. Um, it's great, but as fans, for me, it's the UEFA Champions League, these European games that these days, I'll be honest, really give me the excitement. I don't necessarily get. I always get excitement from watching Celtic, but um, it's these games that really get you going because there's real jeopardy there, even against a so-called, one of the weaker teams in the Champions League this season. Tonight is, a really tough game. Some people would, I think, we're favourites, but a lot of people would look at it and say it's a relatively even matchup given our European record in recent years, champions of Scotland against champions of Slovakia. So these are the games that you can't wait for, and there's an opportunity tonight for the team, Ryan, to go and get 3 big points.
I think these are the games that everybody anticipates, especially if your team does get through to the group stage or league phase of the Champions League. This first game, the chance to really put down a marker ahead of the rest of the tournament. There's no two ways about it. This is a game that Celtic should win tonight, given the opposition and given the whole spectacle, given the respective squads between the two of them as well. It's a favourable draw, this one, having this game first. But I think that puts a different sort of pressure on Celtic being the favourites coming into the game at Celtic Park. But if they have any aspirations of taking it further than just the league phase and going into the playoffs, or I mean, it would be unlikely, but getting straight through, then they've got to win games like this against Slovan Bratislava. So it's a very different pressure that's on them tonight. It's a pressure that they don't normally feel in the Champions League. But I hope that they take that in their stride and really use it to their advantage. They'll have 60,000 mad fans tonight screaming for every ball, every challenge. As I always say, these games take care of themselves. A European night at Celtic Park, the atmosphere is going to be absolutely electric. I just hope that the players can match that. You look at individuals like Arne Engels, who will feel that atmosphere for the first time. He had a glimpse of it against Rangers and then against Hearts, but he's truly felt nothing until he's played in a Champions League night at Celtic. His decision will be vindicated when he steps onto that park tonight and he hears the Champions League anthem, when he hears "You'll Never Walk Alone." It's up to Celtic to match the fans tonight, because the fans will be there. If they can turn up and put in a good performance and get a win on the board, then I think it makes everybody excited for the forthcoming campaign, regardless of who they play next, which is a difficult slate in terms of Borussia Dortmund and then Atalanta. Two really tough games against two teams that got to European finals last season. So this is a game that Celtic have got to go and win, hopefully win comfortably as well. Bratislava statistically are the worst team in the Champions League, but I wouldn't read too much into that. They've got to really assert their dominance and assert their quality on the opposition tonight.
Do you think we'd be the worst team in the Champions League based on statistics? No, because how can you be much worse than we've been in recent years? Sorry, Tony, you're wanting to say something there.
Even though it's match day one and you talk about this pressure, for me this is a must-win game. Nothing else. It's must-win, and I get it. People say, you need to ease yourself in. Nah, I'm not easing myself into the competition. The manager wants to compete, not participate. For me, this is a must-win game. It's as simple as that. To have any chance of qualifying for a knockout phase, I'm not entertaining any other thoughts other than this being a must-win. And you're talking about Celtic Park, Ryan, and the atmosphere. Just to whet your appetite, guys, I've put something in the comment section now. I've picked 10 of the best. See if some of your memories of Celtic Park on Champions League nights match my 10 of the best. I'm sure they will. I'm sure you'll be able to guess what one's number one, but we do the countdown 10 to 1. So,
but the thing is, we've had so many, haven't we? I mean,
yeah.
The Barcelona win is the top. I mean, Juventus, Man United, Shakhtar, there's AC Milan.
That's about 6 you've just not
given away.
Yeah, I've been quite a lot of them. I've realised that I was reading the list last night. I realised I've been at quite a few of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you remember them for that very reason. They're wonderful occasions, and Celtic prevailed in the end. So you just want another night like that, another special night, because there's not a place like it in European football. Glasgow, G40 in a Champions League night when Celtic win. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I sense there's a real buzz about the place ahead of this game with the new format and the way the team are playing. And I just think there's a feeling amongst the Celtic support that we've been waiting for this night for a while. And we all love the domestic dominance. And listen, I'll never tire of winning domestic trophies. But I think we're all just fed up of Celtic not reaching their potential in Europe. And there's an opportunity, I think, with the fixtures we've been given for us to do it this time. It's not going to be easy. There's some really tough games. But, I think it's time for me personally to back this Celtic team to go and do it. A few comments. Brian saying in 12 hours we'll either be winning the Champions League or finishing bottom. No in between. Pete bringing up some interesting scores last night. Teams that we're coming up against as well. Aston Villa beat Young Boys 3-0 in Switzerland. We are going to play both of those teams later on, so that's interesting. I think Dinamo Zagreb, were they the other one? They lost 9-2 to Bayern Munich. Ryan was saying that Bayern had 3 disallowed goals as well on top of their 9 they scored, so it could have been 12-2. I don't think there was any other teams last night that we're due to face tonight. There's Club Brugge are playing Dortmund again. That's 2 teams we've got coming up, so that's on the same time as our game. So I don't expect people to be watching it or anything. But some interesting results last night, Tony.
Yeah, and I think Zagreb brought it back to 3-2 at one point. If memory serves, is that right? Yeah. They did, die. So
they poked the bear of Bayern Munich at that point, I think.
Yeah. So again, Bayern obviously took their foot off the pedal and then realised, right, okay, we're in a game here for 5 minutes, and then within jig time it was like 6 or 7-2. And but again, going to Germany, scoring twice, they're a team you'll have to be wary of too. I know they get hammered and they end up, and you take the positives from that they concede a lot of goals. But, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. There is just no easy games at this level. There is no weaker opposition or easier opposition. It's an unforgiving environment. You have to be bang at it. And if you're not bang at it, you will come a cropper, as Celtic have found to their costs over the years at this level of competition. But the manager was quite bullish yesterday, and I liked what he said at one point. Yeah. He was talking about players believing that Champions League are belief games. And he said that he's been privileged enough to work with world-class players and elite players who believe that they belong at this level. And he said Celtic have been at this level before, but this is the most confident he is as a Celtic boss going into the Champions League, because he believes he has the quality now to compete. He said back the first time, he said they had good players, but they didn't have quality players to take it that extra bit. And that's when, I won't say they get found out, but that's when your deficiencies were exposed, or your lack of quality at that level was exposed. And I thought that was really interesting. And he wasn't having a go at previous Celtic teams that have played in the Champions League. He was just saying it takes a certain calibre of player to play at this level and in this environment, to be able to handle the expectation, to be able to handle adversity, just to be able to handle the level. He kept talking about the level. And I think that's what excites Celtic most. This is, it's a, as he said, they're belief games. It's more mental than anything. And I use that in the sense of the word that it's meant. You have to get that mindset right to go in and face this level of competition. And I think Brendan Rodgers believes he has players that are capable now, and players that have played, as we were talking about the past couple of days, the ones that have played before have to show they've learned, have to bring that knowledge to the table and put it to good use.
But that's the big part for me when he's talking about belief. Belief is likely to come from previous experiences. And a lot of the kind of core of this team are now going into their third campaign in this competition. Carter Vickers, Hatate, Kyogo, Maida, obviously Greg Taylor, obviously Callum McGregor's played a bit more. Kasper Schmeichel, I think, has only ever played one season in the Champions League, I think, but he'll have a lot of experience regardless. You're not worried about him. I had a look at the first game we played last season against Feyenoord, just after what Brendan Rodgers had said, and honestly, that night we had like 4 debutants in our starting lineup. I think Liam Scales, Gustav Lagerbielke, Alistair Johnson, and Lewis Palma were all making their Champions League debuts that night, and we had, I think, another 4 off the bench, like Iwata and O and Yang, and Home as well. And obviously Home and Lagerbielke get sent off, and part of that was real inexperience at that level. I don't want to get ahead of myself when we still got a game to play tonight, but you look at the squad we've got for tonight's game, and there's not a player really you'd have that same fear about. I mean, the guys tonight who could make their Champions League debut, Kuhn, you're not concerned about Kuhn at all. You're just excited to see Kuhn at that level, even though he's never played Champions League. Engels, you say the exact same about Adam Ida. I feel the same about as well. So there's no doubt to me that the squad is stronger, and the new signings are stronger going into this game than they were a year ago. But also the likes of Liam Scales and Alistair Johnson have now had one season in the Champions League and will be better than they were a year ago. And that's always what Ange Postecoglou said, didn't he, when we had the conversation in his first campaign in the Champions League. He said the way you succeed at this level is you keep getting yourself to this level. This is our third season, so I really hope now that you'll start to see the kind of benefits of the experience and the mistakes and the bad nights we had last season. But Ryan, the team, it's all good, like me saying that and us saying that. The team need to go out tonight and deliver. Like a draw tonight is going to feel like a bit of a disaster, I think, tonight at full time. We have to win tonight for me. But Brendan Rodgers says we can deal with the pressure.
I don't know if I want to label it as a must-win, but it's one that preferably you would like to see Celtic win if you're using a more diplomatic term for it. I think just with the way that this group is going to go, it is a must-win. I think I'll actually go out and say it's a must-win early on. If you're really going to make a statement in this Champions League and really put yourself about, then they've got to win this opening game. As much as Bratislava have got European experience, even this season, they've gotten through 4 qualifiers. Remember when Celtic had to go through 4 qualifiers to get into a group stage or a league phase or whatever?
I think we ever did it, did we?
No, I think we managed 3 and then we got put out by Athens in 2019-2020 season, which actually came to the Europa League and we had a good season in that. Was it, or was that the season before? I got all those seasons mixed up, all those qualifiers, so many qualifiers. I know we'll probably be back to that next season, but Yeah, it's all about putting down a marker ahead of the new campaign. Bratislava, they'll be coming to Celtic Park looking for an upset. I heard that their coach was looking for a draw potentially at the game. I'm hoping that's the sort of mentality that they have, because if a team's going to play for a draw, then more often than not they will go and get beat, because if that's their mentality, then they won't fully turn up. But it's all about Celtic tonight. If Celtic play to the level that we know that they can play at, that they've shown more often than not this season, then I think they should be fine in this game. They've got players that are eager to make an impact. You talk about those players that were inexperienced last season at Feyenoord, and Lagerbielke and Odin Thiago Holm. Both of them won't be playing tonight. So that just shows you the evolution of the squad. Lagerbielke is away, and Odin Thiago Holm isn't in the Champions League squad whatsoever. So, those players won't be available, even though they've got that experience of playing in the big leagues. But it's an opportunity for guys like Liam Scales, who's already had that season of experience. Arne Engels, who's £11 million, but hasn't had the exposure to the Champions League. I just feel that tonight could be the game that Engels really comes alive and really shows everybody why Celtic have paid £11 million for him. This is the sort of showcase game that I think he's been waiting for. He's had his appearance against Rangers, which he looked solid. He had his man of the match performance against Hearts. Now it's all about him getting to grips with a game and controlling it for the 90 minutes or for however long he's on the pitch. Celtic have spent a massive outlay on this player, their record. It's all about him now going and showing it and showing why he is a Champions League level player. And I wouldn't bet against him tonight. I think it's his sort of game tonight to get on the score sheet or really dominate proceedings.
It's going to be interesting to see the team. We've done the midfield chat, guys, I think the last two, so I don't want to go back into that. But other than that, does the rest of the team pick itself, Tony? If you take the three midfield, well, you can put Callum McGregor in. Do the other 8 players pick themselves?
Yeah, I think they do, don't they? The only one you would maybe have any concerns over is Alistair Johnson and the hamstring. But
was there an update on that yesterday?
I think he said the squad was fit and healthy. Right. He said that. I think he was asked at the end, and it's just a kind of throwaway line. So I don't see him. I don't see Ralston coming in then if that's his thoughts. I think he'll stick with Johnston, and as you say, the rest as is, isn't it? Scales has been playing out his skin and domestically, so Aaron Trusty's going to have to wait, isn't he?
Yeah. Amanda was just asking about that, Tony. She was saying, why did we bring in Trusty and Vai if they're not going to be starting? But they probably will at some stage, but now's not the time to change.
Sunday might be there, might see their first starts. I think it's a great opportunity to rotate the squad that way and see what they've got. And I think, and the 3 up front, it's got to be Maida on the left, Kuhn on the right, and Kyogo through the middle, isn't it? With, as you say, the knowledge that you can bring on Adamida as well and give him some vital and valuable Champions League minutes. And I wouldn't put it past him coming on and breaking his duck in this kind of game. And Ryan's touched upon Engels. We know your midfield. We know myself and Ryan's midfield. We put it out on our predicted 11s. If you want to have a read at that, it's on the website. But also, guys like Johnston and Taylor have got a vital role too, going forward. And Taylor, just nights like tonight are, excuse the pun, they're Taylor made for Taylor, aren't they? To play those to play inverted and to play those passes and to play the guys in. You just need everybody, as I said, to be fully concentrated, to be on it. Whatever team is chosen, they've got to be banging at it from the start. Just really get the crowd behind them and give them something to sing about. I mean, the crowd will be there anyway. They'll do their part. Yeah. But the players just really need to grasp the enormity of the occasion, because it is huge. And as Ryan said there, and I've said, this is a must-win. The Celtic have to get their campaign off to the best possible start. And I think the manager feels confident in the players being able to do that. He said that it all started in pre-season in America, and it's been building to this crescendo tonight. And I think, and I think that's why we feel good about the team, feel good about the manager, and all we need is a result tonight to feel even better about ourselves.
I've said it before. if we win today, the excitement and expectation is going to go into hyperdrive.
Exactly, and as somebody said, Celtic win tonight, they'll be winning the Champions League, or if they don't, they'll be like, they dross. But this is a game for calm heads, cool heads, and for players to step up to the plate. Doesn't matter who steps up to the plate as long as they produce a winning performance. But you do feel that Celtic have a bunch of match winners in that team, don't you?
I think the support have got an important role tonight, Ryan. You're going to be there, so I guess I'm speaking to you here. That we're going to have the atmosphere. The atmosphere is going to be rocking beforehand, even though we're not playing Real Madrid or Barcelona. It's going to be as loud as that, I think, because we're all so excited and we all crave the Champions League. I just wonder if it is a tough start to the game, and maybe we don't get that early goal because listen, we're facing the champions of Slovakia. They're going to be stronger, I think, than anyone we've faced domestically so far. And my one fear about tonight would be like if we don't get that early goal and maybe we're not playing, the team are just a little bit nervous, which would be understandable. Do the support get nervous as well? Do we maybe get on the team's back a little bit? Because I think that only helps our opponents. So I think that's a big part of tonight as well, the support, sticking with the team, even if we face some adversity.
Yeah, as much as I talk about the great atmosphere at Celtic Park, it's great at the start, but if they don't get an early goal, or if they go behind, or if things happen in the game that are adverse to Celtic, it does have a bit of a habit of becoming a bit of a nervy place. Maybe the singing stops and everybody gets a wee bit tetchy, and there'll be a level of expectancy tonight that Celtic will go out and do the business against Bratislava. Oh, no disrespect to the Slovakian champions, but
everyone's going along tonight expecting us to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
No a Celtic fan going along thinking anything other than we should win this.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't want the Celtic players. I don't think they will be thinking like that whatsoever. But they need to just keep their game heads on and really get ready for this game and just treat it like any other. Treat it like Hearts, treat it like Rangers, etc. Go out and play your own game, and the rest should follow. They've got enough quality in that team, enough European quality too. They've had the experience. Even guys coming off the bench like James Forrest, he's got experience of scoring in Europe big goals. 10 or so years ago and later. But I just feel that Celtic are in such a good place at the moment. Yes, they weren't great at the weekend against Hearts, but they got the job done. But I think a lot of eyes were already on this game, the opening game of the Champions League. A lot of eyes will be on Celtic Park tonight. I just hope that they do themselves justice and get the 3 points that's required. They've got the players on the park. They've got the players on the bench that can come on and make a difference in the second half, regardless of who that is in the midfield, especially. I'm just really excited to see how this team fares on the biggest stage. It doesn't matter about the opposition. You'll still have the Champions League anthem before the game. You'll still have the crowd going crazy with "You'll Never Walk Alone." It's just a different atmosphere because of the fact that this is a game that a lot of people expect Celtic to get something from, get the 3 points from, and I hope they live up to those expectations.
Yeah, 100%. Right, referee, I've not actually heard anyone talking about this yet. The referee is Danny McKelly from the Netherlands. That's where the team are from. I don't need to really read you out the rest of the on-field officials because you're not going to really know them. The VAR is from Netherlands as well. Assistant VAR Spanish. Danny McKelly is, I think, pretty well known. You probably know his face.
I've just had a look. Yeah, you definitely know his face if you've watched European football. He's one of those referees that we've seen before over the years.
Did a couple of games at the Euros, did Croatia, Italy. One, I think Italy scored last minute, didn't they? And he did Germany's win over Hungary. He did Leverkusen, Roma last year. He did Bayern, Arsenal, and Barca, Napoli last year. So it's a pretty, big name referee tonight, Tony.
I was hoping for Pierluigi Collina, but there you go. Or Pierluigi Rowbotham, as he was known in Scotland. Because him and Jonathan Rowbotham, you couldn't tell them apart because of the bald peats. Yeah, but there you go. But yeah, I think Collina did Celtic once, didn't he? And I think Stuttgart,
3-1.
Sent a Stuttgart player off, didn't he, for a
Kevin Kurani.
denial of a goal scoring opportunity, I believe. Yeah, he was very, very good. Let's put it that way. there was few referees like Kalina, to be fair. You know, but there you go. But yeah, again, it's like everything else. I think discipline is going to be important, and I think the manager touched upon that because he was asked that yesterday. Celtic never gave themselves a chance in the opening game of the Champions League last season. And Brendan Rodgers said he still thought that the Dyson Maida sending off was harsh. I get all that, but discipline is important with these things because you really do need to. You're refereed to a different standard in European football, and so that's another thing that Celtic must, when I'm talking about, be calm and cool heads. You can't go diving into challenges under the guise of getting stuck in and being wholehearted and totally committed. You be sensible about these things, and I think the manager will certainly drill that into them, won't he? But Celtic had a few sending off in the Champions League campaign last season, and don't want to see a repeat of that.
But again, that comes down to like the experience. Like, have you learned your lessons from last season?
And Rodgers talked about the fact that the referees are different in Europe yesterday than what they are domestically, and that the players need to be ready for that, that you will be officiated differently. Just touching on that, Danny McKelly, he was the referee that officiated, and Kasper Schmeichel will know all about him. He'll probably have a bone to pick with him as well, because he's the one that gave the penalty for Raheem Sterling against, when it was Denmark versus England, that got them to the Euros final back in 2021. So Kasper Schmeichel knows all about this referee. Anyone that remembers that decision knows how incredibly soft that penalty was at the time, late on, when it was Denmark v England. So Schmeichel knows all about that. But he's probably had more good games than bad, and that's the reason why he's still officiating at the top level. But he's got a recognisable face. But you just go into these games expecting different refereeing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you're just hoping that the right decision's found at the end of the day, regardless of what the incident is.
Yeah, you just hope not to be talking about referees. You hope your quality shines through on the night and you're talking about a terrific Celtic performance and a cracking win. We don't want to be talking about a decision that's gone against you. So it's something that it's set up. I think Celtic, there's a level, and a really high level of expectation, and Celtic now have to cope with that pressure. This team has to cope with that pressure of being probably overwhelming bookies' favourites to win this match, and the bookies rarely get it wrong. You have to go and justify that favouritism now by going out and, just as I say, and winning, and nothing to suggest that you're not confident, but you've always got to respect your opposition, and the Slovakian champions or the Slovak champions. So, it doesn't matter what level of football you play at. If you're the champions of your country, you've got a decent pedigree and you're coming. Ryan said, the manager said he's coming for a draw. I never believe all that. I always think that's caudology, just to lull you into that. We will see what Slovan Bratislava are made of when the ball rolls for real. You can talk the talk and say what they like. A lot of it has no bearing. A bit like this, it might not have any bearing on what actually happened. It's speculation at this moment in time what we think will happen, but we're basing it on the fact that we've watched Celtic and we know what they can produce. So that's fair enough. It's just time to produce it, isn't it, at the highest level of club football.
I think they'll be quick in the counter attack. I think that's something we're going to have to watch out for. I think they'll be much better at that than any team we face in Scotland, and I feel like that's always the worry for me personally for Celtic in Europe. Do we get a little bit excited? Do we leave gaps at the back? I can think of so many of the goals we've conceded in the past couple of seasons, and probably the majority of them have been counter-attacking goals. So that's something I'm intrigued to see tonight. And yeah, I think it's going to be a tough challenge. I was kind of surprised. I don't know if you guys saw the Opta stuff yesterday, but they've got us down as with a 68% chance of winning the match. So basically, if you play the match 100 times, they reckon we'll win it 68 out of 100. That's higher than any team playing tonight in the Champions League. It's higher than any team playing tomorrow night in the Champions League, which for me is way off because it doesn't feel like that given our recent record. It feels to me like we're favourites, but probably like a kind of 60-40 type thing. Also, the draw is an option as well. The other thing Opta put out yesterday, and because we got a comment the other day, didn't we, asking how many points are you going to need to qualify for the top 24, and basically they put out a thing, and I've got it here. If you get 10 points, they did 50,000 simulations, Opta, so slightly more than I did. They give it, if you get 10 points, a 99% chance of making the top 24. So 10 points will do it. We've got a chance to get 3 of them tonight, and 7 from our last 7 games if we win tonight seems a lot less of a task than 10 does right now. So that's what for me is at stake tonight. It's a huge opportunity for the team. Are you looking forward to it, Ryan?
Very much so, yeah. Champions League nights always take care of themselves at Celtic Park. Always excited. I love night games in general, regardless if it's domestic games or Champions League. There's just something brilliant about the floodlights coming on, and just the whole vibe of the stadium at night. I love it during the day, don't get me wrong. Like those 12 o'clock games against Rangers are brilliant. I don't think anything beats an 8 o'clock kickoff in the Champions League. You've got the Stars coming to Celtic Park. I know that won't be necessarily the case tonight, but in years gone by, having the Stars while the Stars are out as well, it works. It's a perfect stadium for Champions League football. It's a magical place, especially before the match. You'll never walk alone. There's nothing else like it. I know Liverpool do it. They don't hold a candle to Celtic's rendition of it. It's just different level. And in that Champions League, I believe that they're one of the only teams that actually gets louder when the Champions League anthem comes on, because you watch loads of teams and you can hear the anthem. You can't really hear it when Celtic start playing it. Celtic fans don't take it for granted. They will make all the noise in the world when that anthem comes on. And that's one of the exciting moments. Hopefully I can capture that in video and put it on the socials this evening. I'm sure that'll be a popular video when it goes out. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to it all. Very different going into it, knowing that Celtic are the slight favourites going into it. But at the same time, it's exciting. It's the first game. You talk about 10 points, giving you a 99% chance. Get those 3 points on the board. And it really sets you up for the rest of the league phase. I know they've got 2 difficult games coming up against Dortmund and Atalanta, which probably makes it even more of a must-win to really get off the 0 points and get some on the board. 3 points would be absolutely ideal come the end of the night. I just hope there's a good performance, and if there's a good performance, then you'd hope there's a few goals and a win to go along with that. But yeah, long story short, I'm extremely excited about getting to Celtic Park tonight, and hopefully Celtic can live up to what is going to be an incredible atmosphere on the park.
Can't wait for it. Jakey, I want to see us playing the kind of football we played pre-season, playing through teams and countering quickly, which has been difficult against Scottish teams who will always have 11 men behind the ball. Des is not as nervous as he's been in the past. We have a strong squad to get the result. Concel, positive thinking, boys. We're going to win and it's going to be comfortable, I hope. Alex, absolutely ecstatic for tonight. Nerves, excitement, and a lot. If the players keep their heads and play to their standards, then we will get the job done. And Henry McClarson, Brendan will have them prepared. Cal Mack will be a common presence on the park. Tony?
Yeah, I think that's what the manager was talking about yesterday, wasn't it? I think he feels it's the most prepared he's ever been with a Celtic team going into the Champions League, right? And preparation is key. It's how he works. And I think there's that kind of calmness about the Celtic supporters. There's excitement basically now. And I think that's, you normally are nervous going into this. I don't think there's nervousness about tonight. I think there's just real anticipation and excitement and an expectation. Celtic have to live up to that billing. The manager believes that they can. He's got a squad of players there that can live up to that billing and produce the kind of performance we've been seeing since pre-season. So let's do it. You just have to go and do it now. It's came the moment, the day's arrived. It's going to be brilliant. And as Ryan says, I wrote a thing. One of the first things I ever put on this website was about the highly charged atmosphere at Celtic Park on these kind of nights. And during that Champions League theme tune, I likened it to like it's a primal scream. The Celtic fans just absolutely lose it. They lose it, and they go absolutely tonto during that, and it's brilliant. And there is very few places where fans do the same when they hear that music, but the Celtic fans just go off their head, and it's just like 2 minutes of utter bedlam and noise, and it's wonderful to watch. It's wonderful to see in operation, and it's what makes these kind of nights particularly special, because Celtic never take it for granted playing at this elite club level. They never will, and it's a wonder and a joy to see your team competing at this level. But now we want to compete and claim scalps and get results. It's what we desperately crave, as I said at the top of the programme. We want this so much, and I think we'll get what we want tonight.
Let's hope so. That's the final thing I would say for today. I just think that the team have been building towards this moment, and I just think they're ready to go and grasp this opportunity, and it's a big opportunity tonight. It's going to be a tough game, but I think the team are going to be right at it, and I think if we're right at it, we'll win the game. Have you guys got any more videos planned today? What's the story?
Yeah, we'll be on pre and post match, won't we, Ryan?
Absolutely, wouldn't miss it for the world. You've got to, regardless of how late the post match is going to be, we will be on it, win, lose or draw. We have to be. It's a Champions League night, after all. I doubt people will be sleeping, especially, or even if Celtic get a massive win. I don't think people will be sleeping. They'll be wanting to hear what we have to say after the game. Fingers crossed they want to hear what we say after the game. But we'll be there pre-match. We'll be there post-match. I just think there's so much opportunity for Celtic tonight. We got a little bit of a taster at the end. I know it was dead rubber, not dead rubber, whatever you want to call it, against Feyenoord last season. That was a taster of what we want in the Champions League for Celtic. That last minute, maybe not leave it to the last minute this time around. Let's get the game sorted before. Anyone will do. Yes, I totally get that, but preferably they win the game comfortably. But you know what it's like at Celtic Park. Strange things happen. When you were telling me about those statistics, the 68% chance or something like that. Yeah, it's that doesn't take into account the strange things that happen at Celtic Park on a Champions League match day. You can't even talk about them in a statistical outlook at all, because there's crazy things that can happen.
There's only one statistic that matters, guys. One more goal than Bratislava tonight. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's all, and 3 points at the end of the evening. And you're talking about coming back on. The public gets what the public wants, Hamish, or maybe not. In this case, as they say, it's me and Ryan coming back on. But a famous man once said that, more famous man than me. Very good sign.
I'm just, as I said, I've said it about 3 or 4 times, Celtic Park on a Champions League night takes care of itself. Cannot wait. I get excited for everything. I get excited for the walk to the stadium, walking up the stairs to my seat. The Champions League anthem, You'll Never Walk Alone. These are the things that it's the work throughout the season that brings you to this point, winning the league and getting that automatic entry into the Champions League. It's a reward, but I don't want them to see it as a reward. I want to see them as that next step that they need to get to. They need to show themselves against Europe's greatest teams, and it's a real opportunity tonight for Celtic to lay down a marker for the rest of the competition. I think there was a couple of markers laid down last night, in particular Aston Villa and Bayern Munich. I'd like Celtic to put their own one down tonight and say that we're not there to make up the numbers. We're here to actually compete and get through.
Nothing less than a 9-2 victory will do tonight. Brendan, if you're watching. Right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and the buzz is going to be real for tonight. It's a big one. Same goes for all of you watching. If you're going to the game, enjoy yourself, make as much noise as possible, get right behind the team. If you're not going, like me, wherever you're watching it in the world, I'm sure you'll enjoy it anyway. So the guys will be with you before the game as well to kill a bit more time, and afterwards as well. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you soon.